proper happy is Richard Young. The Chinese billionaire keeps getting richer. Eric Seidel joins us in seat run. Let's hope it's luckier for him than it was for Tom and Roland. Cards in motion, button on Juanda, action on Seidel, he doesn't want to play. Phil Ivey has got King 10 offsuit. Nonchalantly rolls the chip into the middle, 15,000. Blinds are now 3 and 6. That's a fairly standard raise.
Action folding around to Tony Bloom and Edvikov in the big blind. Only 9,000 more to complete. Wakes up with 2 9s.
He dropped his sunglasses when he looked at his cards and had to pick them up off the floor. I don't know if that's a tell, Robert. He's been very quiet so far and finally involved in a hand. Nothing much there for either player. Evdokov still in front with the 9s.
Yeah, only one overcard for Edvikov. Probably check call here. Could have led as well. And he calls. That's a good hold'em card on the turn for Evdokov.
Check.
Goes check, check. And on the river, Ivy makes 2 pairs, jacks up with a king kicker. Evdokov must fancy he's in front here, Robert.
This is value city, just trying to squeeze a little out of Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey's not going for that. But the Russian magnet does drag down a nice little pot.
20 started, 4 have been knocked out. Join us after the break for more action here at the Aussie Millions.
Brought to you in association with FullTiltPoker.com. Brought to you in association with FullTiltPoker.com.
You are watching the world's biggest buy-in tournament, and the casualties so far include England's James Board and the legendary Tom Dwan. Eight players at the table, button in front of Nikolai Evdokov. So it'll be his fellow Russian, Alexander Kostritsin, in the blue t-shirt to act first. He does not wish to get involved, but Richard Young, our slightly loose Chinese tycoon, makes the call with 8-5 in clubs. Evdokov picks up a decent hand. Ace-Queen offsuit.
He also picks up his sunglasses. Seems to be quite a regular habit of his.
When he has a hand.
22,000.
Well, Phil Ivey in the big blind.
Always takes me a second to realize.
Suited connectors. Decides to see a flop.
Cool. 22.
And Young doesn't normally abandon his chips without seeing a flop at least.
This is situation normal. And what a flop for Young. Young flops a pair and a flush draw. Phil Ivey double gut shot. Of course, Evdokov's ace queen was the original raiser, so they've all checked over to him.
35,000.
You surprised Young didn't have a go at that one?
Well, I either favor a lead or check to check raise here. Evdokov makes a really weak bet into this pot, less than half the pot. Young just flat calls there. Don't like that at all.
The 9 of hearts doesn't change much. Young improves to 2 pair. Ivy still with the double gut shot.
Well, if somebody decides to get frisky here, I would suspect it would be Young.
Well, check it round to Evdokov.
Well, against 2 opponents, surely he doesn't. Nope, he decides not to continuation bet again. I don't blame him.
And he has got very lucky on the river, because that gives him a bigger 2 pair. Queens and 9s, better than Young's 5s and 9s.
Phil Ivey's pondering whether he can steal this pot. I don't think he can. Evdokov definitely would be keen to play this. It should be some type of a value bet. No, he just turns his hand over. Decides there's enough in the pot for him already.
Yeah, something didn't smell quite right to Evdokov, but he is the winner. Everybody else got away relatively cheaply. Button on Richard Young, who's treating himself to a sip of water. And action folded around to Nikolai Evdokov. Seidel joins the party with ace-queen offsuit. Just John Juanda to get by. Juanda in the big blind has king 7 in diamonds.
And with 6,000 already invested, decides to make the call.
And both players pick up a gut shot straight draw.
Check.
Seidel still in front.
And a relatively harmless card on the turn.
Juanda would need a 9 to make his straight. Seidel would need a king.
Juanda trying to decide if he can steal this pot. Decides yes, he can.
25,000 is the asking price.
Well, with overcards to the board and a straight draw as well, Erik Seidel makes the call. And bingo for Erik Seidel. He makes the nut straight, but Juanda makes top pair.
Check.
Now Seidel looking to get the juice out of this one.
He's trying to figure out, what can I get John Juanda to call? He can only be beaten by a flush. A tricky position for sure for John Juanda. I think this is one of those 50-50 type decisions.
Well, they say that if you get to the river and you don't know where you are, 80% of the time you're losing.
I've heard that.
You got 10 seconds left.
And just 10 seconds to make this decision.
5 seconds.
He passes, and Seidel takes another leap forwards. At the end of this first session, 4 players have gone and the leaderboard looks like this, with Erik Seidel in the lead, closely followed by Chinese businessman Wang Qian. Down at the bottom, it's Chris Ferguson and the Russian Alexander Kostritsin. Both will need to make a move to stay in contention. Join us next time for more thrilling action from the Aussie Millions.